This week on 15th March, we have 4 webinars lined up for you. Morning 10 a.m., we have Once Upon a Portfolio, Lessons from Behavioral Investing Part 3. By 11 a.m., we have Magic Pill, the extraordinary benefit and disturbing risk of new weight loss drugs. By 11 a.m., we also have Understanding Health Insurance, a beginner's guide. At last, we have the Corporate India Q3 2024-2025 result update. Join us in this webinar. Spend your weekends gaining some knowledge.
In this series of Talking Straight, we are going to talk on a topic from being middle class children to becoming rich parents. Most of us were raised distinctly middle class. We did not have the luxury of plenty. Even families which were rich did not provide their children the feeling of luxury in their childhood, in their growing years. There was always a sense of urgency, a sense of competitiveness, a need not to be left behind, an attitude that was fostered to belong, and an inclusive approach to personal growth. Our schools were not like the schools of today. Education was not what it is today. Money available in the hands of families was also not what it is today. I know such comparisons will always bring out a common reaction. Why do we always have to go back to how we were raised? At least as a reference point, it is relevant because the other reference point is the present. So what do we have in the present? In the present, most parents do not prefer to educate their children in India. They definitely don't send their children to the schools they studied in. The colleges they studied in are completely out of question. The curriculum they studied in seems inadequate. Indian curriculum itself is something for others, is clearly a visible trend among parents who have emerged from the middle class to become rich. Somehow they want to be differentiated and they want their children to experience and know what it feels to be differentiated. In that process, children grow up without having much interaction with what is distinctly middle class. It's clearly an upper class upbringing. Their view of the middle class existence, which is what most Indians have, is a bit of a helicopter view. Why did this happen? Or what did it feel like in the years of middle class evolution? And what does it feel now? Let's ask Subra what he thinks on this topic. I have said a lot of what I think. Let's ask Subra what he thinks.
I have seen parents coming and telling me, at least this friend of mine, she came and told me that tell my daughter that she should do an SIP for, so I said SIP for 5,000 rupees for her retirement. She said, yeah, 5,000-6,000 rupees. And I laughed because she was the only grandchild on both sides. Her father had a brother who hadn't got married, so there was no kid there. Her mother was the only child. So four grandparents, father's wealth, mother's wealth. Father had got ESOPs. As of today, if the girl did nothing, her net worth would be about 100 crores, including houses in Bangalore, Chennai, and Mumbai. Right? This is the kind of backing she had. So I said, this girl is smart enough, she's well educated. Will she believe if I say you have to do a 5,000 rupee SIP? She won't, right? So you talk to them also very differently. But what you're saying is right. I have seen kids suffer because parents chose a wrong school. So parents can afford this school and they put them in this school stretching a bit. They don't realize that the others who are coming are children of industrialists, etc., who have much bigger financial strength. So you're not, if you don't put your children in the same class of people to which you belong, you will run into these problems. And
But everybody wants to do that, Subra. Every person wants to put their children in a school which has strata above their economic strata. Maybe they feel that they want that exposure for the children. That is the intent. But there are other side effects, it's not just as simple and plain as that. Like I had this experience of a kid coming and telling a parent, what have you achieved in life? What do you have to show? After the parent gave the exposure to this child in a place where normally this child would not have gone, did everything like you're saying, stretched, gave the exposure. And the kid comes and says, what have you done in life? Are you even half this person or whatever? I mean, I don't understand these things. Like I would have never thought of asking my parent, what have you done in life? But that question comes so easily to people today. So the fact that you are giving somebody that exposure often doesn't create the desired outcome. The parent is fighting that fire which they lit.
True.
I mean, you have to prove that you are doing all right in life to your children. If you have to do that, I think it's a bit unfair.
No, I am convinced about two things. The quality of education that a child gets and how successful a marriage is has nothing to do with the cost. You can send your kid to the best colleges in the world, but you also send them to do engineering abroad because they didn't get into IIT. I'm not saying IIT is cheap, but compared to a Carnegie Mellon or any of those colleges, obviously it is much cheaper. So normally the choice of going abroad is not because the kid deserves it, but it is because he can't get into or she can't get into the best colleges in India.
Okay, so you're saying that it's a different compulsion.
Correct.
It's not because of what I think it is.
Yeah, it is not because, oh, my kid should do undergraduation in US. No, because the kid is pressurizing them, saying there is no great education in India. And if you put your kid in IB, in 7th standard, you are telling the kid after 10th, I will send you abroad. This is a message which you are sending. The kid is picking up a message which you are giving, and then you can't say, oh, they don't have Indian values and all that. You yourself don't have those values.
Yeah, it's like people, when they were growing middle class, they will feel that the middle class values are boring. So you will always try to outgrow that.
Correct.
And then when you become very rich, you suddenly miss those middle class values. It's strange, but that's what it is.
No, Indian middle class never becomes rich. With 500 crores, they will say, oh, middle class like us.
They don't become rich in their own self-assessment, but they are rich.
No, they are rich financially, but in their head. Didn't Narayan Murthy complain about petrol prices a few months back?
I don't know, but...
And what are you talking about? What happens to middle class like us? You are not middle class. We are not middle class. We are rich. Okay. Look at where the poor in India are. Look at what is middle class. Our own definition. You can say I have middle class values.
Yeah, correct. No, the point I am trying to make on this is you can be rich, no problem. But why can't your kids grow up with middle class? What's your problem? That is my question. Why should you other them?
No, what happens is you give them a standard of living which is way beyond perhaps their starting aspiration. If it's a business, it's different. But if you are a top executive in a company, your child will get the standard of living which he or she earns, not what you think they deserve. So this conflict that your kid starting to earn 50,000 a month, which is not a bad salary, can't live on 50,000. That 50,000 is treated as pocket money or a subsidy for the kid, because doesn't have to pay rent, doesn't have to pay for entertainment, doesn't have to pay for vacation, doesn't have to pay for food. So the same standard of living which the father earning maybe 2 crores has, this kid earning 6 lakhs gets. At what stage will the kid make the transition? That's not known.
It's difficult. I'll give you another example. The typical parent that you are talking about travels by flight only, and rarely you may travel by Vande Bharat or AC first class. international travel will be business, right? Whereas we won't have travel business till a very advanced stage, I would say. But this kid is used to business, but he is not into any business. And after finishing studies, when he is trying to make himself independent and stand on his own feet, all these things come back to bite. That new reality which he is facing is something that the parent has not prepared him for.
True.
The difference between I was raised and how I see children being raised today is that if I went to play a game, let's say I played multiple sports in school, outside school. Outside school, when you go to play, in school it's all middle class kids. When you go outside school, there's no strata actually, Subra. It could be a team of cricket in a playground where everybody who comes gets to play. You include people. You are also included. Everybody includes everybody else and plays. It's the game, it's the fun. You go and play basketball. The subscription will be 5-10 rupees. Anybody who can pay will be in. And the subscription is kept at a level at which everybody can pay. Today you have 2000 rupee basketball lessons. Obviously when you set 2000 rupees month for basketball lessons, you're leaving out a lot of people, you're keeping it at a level where they can't come. They won't include a single guy who's good to play but can't
afford, yeah.
No, it's not done. You see a lot of kids today coming up in chess and stuff like that. But yeah, these sports actually have a lot of exclusion. Today sports is the place where you see the exclusion in its stark reality. And it's no more a case of everybody learning to be with everybody else. So what happens when you do this is, maybe some of the kids learn and their natural aptitude, they come up, they play great. It's normal. I'm not saying that such exclusivist activity doesn't produce talent. There will be talent everywhere. But the appreciation of the effort made by a kid who doesn't have the privileges which you have is something that could be missing. It could be lacking. Later what happens is that when these same kids grow up and become adolescents and young adults, the parent says, oh, he doesn't have the drive of that kid. Look at that kid. Look at that kid. Look at his drive. This kid doesn't have that drive. When I hear that, I think to myself that this is your making. It's not the kid's making.
Correct.
You can't blame the kid for that.
No, I think parents don't let the child grow with its friends. So, a child should travel by modes of transport which her friends or his friends are taking. You cannot overprotect them. So if I take my daughter by air when she is coming for a vacation with me, but when she is going with her friend, she has to go by train, she has to go by train. She has to stay in a dormitory, Which she comes with me, she may get a better class of hotel. It does not mean she gets that on her own. So I don't see why, it happened to me. Why can't it happen? My daughter also, I pushed her and she has her friends.
So it doesn't happen because see, you at some stage you didn't even want to have a car. So it's a different story. Let me explain. In my house we have 2 cars. We are a business family. My grandfather grew up from scratch and he reached level of affluence which could potentially be compared with the level of affluence I have today in those days. But I have gone to school by walk or cycle later. All competitions, all sports meets by what used to be called PTC, Palawan Transport. So I still remember, I still wonder how they sent me for a race on the Marina Beach, which was called the beach race, running 5 kilometers. You leave at 5:15, catch the bus and go there at 5:45. The race will start somewhere around 6:15, 6:30 and it will end by 8:30. 9 o'clock you again catch the same bus, come back, get down near the house and walk back. No adult accompanying at the age of 10. Our friends would gang up, 5-6 of us, would go by bus and come back. Today, yeah, you started laughing.
Yeah.
That's the point.
No 10-year-old can leave without
So the sports day, so going for any outing with friends, going to National Park, Gindi, or any place, It is very normal to go in a bus at any time and learn to be independent. Right? Today, you give a car to your daughter or son, ask them to put, what do you call that? There's something on location pin, live location. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you give live location and you keep tracking. Oh, has he or she reached? What sort of transition have we made? I wonder to myself, what the hell have we done? Right? Or where is society? Everybody looking at live location. The insecurity is so high. And then you live in gated community. So it's all within a certain social strata. So you hardly know what it means to be somebody like your grandparents were 20, 30 years or 40 years ago.
No,
The children don't know, I'm just telling you.
no, but
Now,
I have seen people. This is a Gujarati family where after I think 11th standard or 12th standard, father gave him a Eurail pass and put him on the plane to London, economy of course, and said, go around London, I want to see these 7-8 cities including Paris and all, and come back. So he had to stay in absolutely cheap hotels. He used to sleep in the train. Train is more expensive than flight, but it's there you can carry your things. And he said he learned more here than in 4 years of college in India. So he went. So unless you teach your children to go alone and go with friends from 5th standard, 6th standard, suddenly you can't pick up a 12th standard kid and say do this. I think those things are part of the growing, and this is not a small family with at least 200 crores of net worth, but they do that thing. I think parenting also has to be learnt and relearnt because depends on the kid. Some kids are very responsible. I have a friend where I used to say, show your net worth. So he said, Arey, because of you, I showed him my net worth. So instead of spending 30 lakhs on the wedding, he spent 1.5 crores. So it backfires also sometimes. But you have to know your kid, you know how your kid will behave. And you have to help them growing up rather than shepherd them too much.
so the main point is how you prepare them for the life they have to lead and how you make them appreciate the lives of others. There are only 2 points in this. What you said about a rich person sending kid to London, giving a train pass and say go see the world,
Yeah.
is preparing them for the kind of life, social and economic life which they may potentially lead. And also making them aware of the responsibility, because I think that wealth is not a privilege, it is a responsibility. That is the construct with which I was raised. That is the core construct. And I think today it applies to the upper class. I mean, I hate to use the word upper middle class. It's nonsensical. Most of these people who call themselves upper middle class are upper class. And they are going to transfer privilege. Without any doubt, I am saying this. Okay. So now that you are going to do it, you create responsibility. That is sufficient. You don't have to pretend before your children, which you are anyway not doing. See, these pretenses are selective pretenses. There is no generic pretense. If you put in IB and then say, oh,
Yeah. Where do you want to go?
I am sending my kid by auto to that place, or I am sending by school bus, it's
It
ridiculous.
doesn't happen.
It's
It doesn't happen because
even if it happens, it's
no, even if you send your kid in an I-10, the other kids are coming in a Mercedes.
correct.
The kid gets the complex there itself. It's a privilege coming by car, but the other cars are bigger. So that's
It's
the
all
problem.
things being done by people for their own.
No, but Shyam,
mind.
there is one big distinction to be made. One, kids of parents in high job positions and those who are in business. I somehow feel people in business spend more time on raising the kid than people in service. And in service, you really won't transfer much. You have a nice standard of living. You fly first class. You stay in towers. You don't stay in rooms. You get all those perks. But all that stops the day you die. The day you retire. Right? You're 58. You're retired. After that, your money may not be sufficient to maintain that standard of living. You may still fly, but you'll be flying economy. Sorry. I have friends, when they fly business class, but the kids fly economy. They don't take the kids by business class. They say you go back seat, which itself is not a bad thing because so you will not get business class. You have a leg fracture.
I am
don't
smiling
fly.
because if my wife and kids see this, they will start laughing at me. Okay.
No, but people do this. I mean, I see businessmen spending time parenting, which people in service don't. Because people in service say, my father didn't spend time with me, why should I? But your father had the same standard of living which you had, and he told you, he didn't tell you anything. He didn't even communicate. But you knew some of those things.
Subra, the businessman has an economic responsibility to make the next generation aware of what are the economic issues he will deal with, what is the style of life he will lead, what it costs, how it is earned, what is sustainable, what is not sustainable, what will be his economic responsibility when he, takes over or comes to the stage when he has to decide to take over or not. So these conversations actually happen. Whereas a career person probably never has these conversations. It's, I'm taking care of you till this point, after that you are on your own. That is the kind of conversation.
Correct.
It's an approach which comes from a sense of limited responsibility. Businessman has unlimited responsibility.
True.
It's not just about raising a child. He wants the child to also come into the business and then do what he did, probably do it better, probably take it to the next level, probably ensure it doesn't go down. There's so many other things that come into play. So the businessman will naturally tell a lot of things, will try his level best to make the next generation alert to a lot more things. This is what.
No, I'll give you an example. I have a friend whose son did his MBA, and then he had to work in a company called MAFCO, which is in Maharashtra. And MAFCO, the qualification was you have to be 12th standard. You can't be more educated. So he hid his qualification and worked in MAFCO. One of the kids went to Israel to study because they have a big farm in Bombay, and they are supplying vegetables only to 5-star hotels. They don't want to go down. So they're very careful. The capsicum which they make could be red, yellow, all that will have no blemish because it has to be kept on the table. But the next generation has gone and got itself educated in irrigation, in marketing, in engineering, in learning the mechanics of agriculture, and they've taught them all that, and they've sat down and spoken to them. And one lovely statement is, there is socialism at home. You are born in this house, you will have an Audi car or a Mercedes, but in the business it is capitalism. You will get what you deserve. You will not get just because you are privileged. You will go, you will stand in the soil, you will grow it, you will carry it. So those kids, all the kids, go and deliver vegetables to all the 5-star hotels. That is part of their training. They realize that if they don't do it and they become the CEO, the people below that will just eat away the business.
Correct.
So this is part of the training, and it starts maybe in 6th standard, 7th standard. These kids go to markets, they find out why they're getting a better price. They're getting 3x the price which they could get in the local.
So you're just given a kind of a masterclass on how business families ground their children.
Yeah.
It's so clean. And personally, I have done all these things that you're saying. And I have been taught that there is no job that is below my dignity.
I can't end this video without mentioning one guy who sent his son. This is very common among Gujaratis with whom I have interacted. They'll pick their son, they will be in the steel business, they'll pick their son and put him into some chemical business. Completely different business, but go and learn business. So he sends his son to another friend. He reaches there at 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. He makes him wait the whole day till about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and he says, oh, today I don't have any work, come tomorrow. So this kid goes and comes the next day. This is a privileged kid, okay? This kid has a Mercedes standing in his Porsche because his father has taken his BMW, that kind of a kid, that kind of backing. Next day he reaches and he has to now travel by train, bus, auto, whatever he has to do. He goes there and he waits till 1 o'clock. Again the boss does not call him. At 1 o'clock he says, come, let's go for lunch. And he says, how did you wait the whole day and half a day today? I was just checking out your patience. It was part of his training. He says, I'm going to send you for collection of money, which is the toughest thing in a business. And this is a 12th standard pass kid about to doing graduation, so doing this. And his statement is even better. He says, my father has sent me to you for training. Whatever you do for me is my training. No MBA can teach you this, right? No MBA school can teach you this. you have to take responsibility for your parenting as much as you take responsibility for your business. Because your business is going to be looked after by this kid.
Yeah, business
And
people
if
are
this
learning
kid-
this. Business
They
people
are
are
learning
learning
this.
this, definitely.
If your kid does not deserve that position, somebody below will just
Eat away the
hoodwink
business,
him.
correct.
Eat away the business.
Absolutely.
But the people in service don't think their inputs are necessary. They think, oh, I produce the kid, now the teacher will take
I
care.
paid for the best schooling, best college.
I paid for the school, so school will take care. I put him in tuition teacher will take care. It doesn't happen that way. Your job extends beyond that. Even a 25-year-old may need some guidance. Even a 30-year-old may need
They
some
will need
guidance.
guidance all along.
Yeah, they will need. If you are there and you are willing to help, and if they ask, you should help. You don't have to go and offer help. This is part of parenting, and I enjoyed the process of parenting as much as I enjoyed the process of investing.
It's a very interesting discussion that we have had. Let's continue this discussion on the other side in another episode with a different dimension. Thank you, Subra, for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.